She was already screaming when I turned the key. Metal gates sliding shut with a loud clang, cutting off the road to the private fishing lake. Her guests were still inside, cars parked by the water, fishing rods out like they owned the place. She ran toward me, face red, phone in her hand, yelling, "You can't do this, I have rights." I didn't say much, just looked at the new lock, then at her and calmly said, "This is private land." That's when she completely lost it. She started threatening me, saying she was HOA board, saying she'd call the cops, saying I'd be arrested before sunset. One of her guests laughed and said, "Lady, just let us out." She snapped back at him, too, like she controlled everyone. I stayed quiet on purpose, because I knew something she didn't. The lake, the road, the gate, all of it was legally mine, and this lock was just the beginning. She thought the gate trapped her guests. She didn't know it was trapping her lies. She didn't wait even a minute, stepped back, hit dial, and put the phone on speaker like it was a weapon. "Yes, officer, there's a man blocking a public access road and holding people hostage at the lake," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Her guests started shifting, confused now, some whispering, some filming. She pointed at me and smirked like she'd already won. "You're done," she said. A few minutes later, a black SUV rolled up. No lights, no sirens. Two guys stepped out wearing dark uniforms, badges hanging a little too low. One of them barked, "Sir, open the gate right now." I noticed it instantly. Wrong patches, no body cams, cheap badges. Karen crossed her arms and smiled. "I told you I have authority here." I asked one simple question, calm and slow. "Which department?" The taller guy hesitated for half a second. That was enough. My hand went to my pocket, not fast, not scared, and I hit record. Because this wasn't the first time someone tried to push me off my own land, and it wouldn't end the way she thought. When fake power meets real proof, the truth gets loud. The shorter guy stepped closer, trying to look tough, saying, "Ben, sir, last warning." Karen jumped in fast, yelling, "Arrest him, he's trespassing and blocking emergency access." One of her guests whispered, "This feels wrong," but she shot him a look, and he went quiet. I slowly pulled out my wallet, not rushing, and held it up just enough for the camera to see. "Before you touch me," I said, "you might want to call this in." Karen laughed out loud. "He's bluffing," she said. That's when the taller, fake cop's phone started vibrating. His face changed as he listened. He walked a few steps away, voice low, panicked. Karen noticed it too. "What's going on?" she snapped. He didn't answer her. I leaned back against the gate and said real calm, "You should have checked the land records and my name." The wind was quiet, the lake still, but the tension was thick. She thought I was stuck behind the gate. She didn't realize she was standing in front of a wall. Before she could say another word, a real patrol car came down the road, lights on this time, slow and steady. Karen's smile froze. One of her guests quietly started packing his gear. The fake cop stiffened, trying to look official again, but it was too late. The real officer stepped out, calm but sharp, eyes moving from the badges to the gate to Karen. "Who called this in?" he asked. Karen rushed forward, talking fast, pointing at me like I was a criminal. "He locked us in. He's abusing power. He's not even supposed to be here." The officer didn't look at me yet. He asked one question instead. "Ma'am, do you own this land?" She opened her mouth, then stopped. I finally spoke, slow and clear. "No, she doesn't." I handed the officer my phone, still recording, along with the property documents saved offline. The officer's tone changed. "Sir, this confirms private ownership." Karen's face went pale. The loudest person at the scene suddenly had nothing left to say. Her scream echoed across the lake as the officer approached her slowly. "Ma'am, impersonating law enforcement and threatening people on private property is a serious offense," he said. Karen tried to argue, but her voice cracked and her guest began filming her meltdown. One of the fake cops stepped back, realizing they were caught in a lie, their badges useless against real authority. I stayed by the gate, arms crossed, letting it all unfold. The officer asked me quietly, "Anything else you want to add?" I smiled, pointed at the locked gate, and said, "Justice looks better when it's quiet." Karen's threats turned into stammers, then silence. One of her guests muttered,
I didn't know she'd go this far, and I realized the lake had never been just about fishing. It was about claiming, respect, protecting land, and finally showing that rules aren't just for show. She thought she could control everyone until the law reminded her who really owns the power. As the officer handcuffed Karen, her guests slowly started leaving, some shaking their heads, some filming every second. The fake cops slinked away, muttering excuses that no one cared about anymore. I walked down to the water's edge, listening to the gentle splash of the lake, letting the tension fade. One of the neighbors, who had been watching from across the trees, came over and said, "You didn't just lock the gate, you shut down her entire act." I laughed quietly, shaking my head. She wanted a show. I gave her the truth. The real lesson hung in the air as the sun started to tip behind the hills. Power isn't about yelling the loudest. It's about standing firm when no one else believes in you. The gate stayed closed, the lake quiet, and for the first time in years, this private corner of land finally felt like it belonged to the people who actually deserved it. With Karen in the patrol car, the remaining chaos settled slowly. Her HOA threats, fake notices, and inflated authority were gone, all recorded and verified. I walked along the shore picking up fishing gear left behind by her guests, realizing most of them had seen the truth unfold and would never forget it. One of them called out, "Thanks for being calm. You could have lost it." I just shrugged, feeling the weight lift. The lake was quiet again, the gate locked. But this time, it wasn't a barrier, it was a statement. A family came down from the nearby cabin, waving, saying, "You handled that perfectly. She won't bother anyone here again." I nodded, knowing the secret wasn't just the land or the legal papers. It was patience, planning, and knowing when to let people reveal themselves. Some battles aren't won with anger, they're won with proof, patience, and a little quiet justice. The sun dipped low, painting the lake gold, and for once, everything felt right. I took one last look at the locked gate, the calm water reflecting the sky, and knew this chapter was over. But the lesson was clear. Karen had stormed in, thinking entitlement and fake authority could bend reality. But the law, proof, and a little patience turned everything around. Her HOA threats wouldn't reach this lake again. Her guests left knowing the truth, some shaking their heads, others whispering to each other about what they'd witnessed. I walked back to my truck, hearing the faint sound of the patrol car driving away with Karen, and felt a strange mix of relief and satisfaction. My family came up smiling, clapping me on the back. "You handled it perfectly," my wife said, "just like you promised." I smiled, thinking of all the times people underestimated me, never realizing that sometimes the quiet ones hold the strongest power. She screamed about rights. I just showed her who actually had them. The lake was mine, the gate locked, and justice finally had its quiet victory. The end. Please visit my new channel, link in the description. Watch the videos, enjoy them, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't miss out on the new HOA stories.